What is important in life?
Friends.
Football?
Maybe. Football, yeah, still, yeah.
The ladies?
Ladies are still important, yeah. You keep laughing.
I don't.
Hello everyone, welcome to Motorhome Beat Beat. My name is Alan and today we've come to find the final resting place of the most world famous footballer, George Best. And he was the best, wasn't he? He had a power name. They say people with a power name do slightly better than people who don't have one. Maybe it just drives them on, but he was a phenomenal footballer for Manchester United. So we're at Rosenlawn Cemetery in Belfast. He was European Footballer of the Year in 1968 and he was on the shortlist of 6 for the BBC Sports Personality of the Century. So that shows you how good he was. Let me show you where I am. It's a very big cemetery, but I'm in the right section, which is S. So we'll find him, no problem. Let's venture forth. I should have been dribbling the football while I was doing this, shouldn't I? But you'd have been dribbling when you saw me. Oh my god, I can't play football. I once got a football kit when I was a kid, and this is a true story. My parents came down to watch me play football with my brother, older brother, and I didn't know they were watching, and at the end of the match I'd hardly touched the ball and I was so embarrassed it was unbelievable. So I certainly want Best. He was playing football and he was in the street and he didn't know a scout was watching called Bob Bishop. And this guy basically went over to him, took him home and said he's going to play for Manchester United. And he contacted the manager at Manchester United and said, I've got you a genius. So he realised straight away just how good George Best was. The little boy didn't realise how good he was, I don't think. But wow, he was. His debut at 17 for Manchester United and he scored 179 goals in 156 matches over 11 years. So he was a phenomenal goal scorer. Everybody knew that. He could just dribble through them, couldn't he? Hey, look, this is George Best, a Manchester United and Northern Ireland superstar, immortalised as a bronze statue in the shadow of Windsor Park where he played many times. Beautiful, isn't it? In March 1966 there was a match for Benfica and he came back with a big sombrero hat on and the papers picked up on it and called him El Beatle. But of course a lot of people did think he was the 5th Beatle because of his beautiful looks, his charisma and of course his wonderful skill on the pitch. Yeah, I mean he wasn't a married man. Most of the people at Manchester United were all married. He was single and free and of course all the women loved him, didn't they? Yeah, I could see why. He had a lot of charisma. Everyone, why don't you try out my new channel? It's the same name almost, Motorhome Beat Beat, but it's got travel on the end. I'm going to check out some hotels, try and show the good bits, the bad bits, be fair, but most of all try and get the best bang for your buck. Let's have some fun. Come over and join me. There's a really touching bit on This Is Your Life. When he came over as a teenager, he got board and lodgings with Miss Filoni, I think they called her, a very sort of prim and proper woman, but when she came on This Is Your Life, honestly, I nearly shed a tear. You could see he really loved her. And he was grabbing her ham and, you know, holding her and all that kind of thing. And he'd lived with her for 9 years in her board and lodgings. And when he finally left, he bought a £40,000 house, which was a lot of money then. And he had an E-type Jag outside this detached property. She thought she'd have to go back to work because she didn't want to carry on with the board and lodgings. But no, he actually pensioned her off. He gave her some money and he said, all I want is my room in the house so I can come back when I want, which he did. He used to come back and leave notes. And he said, yeah, you won't have to work anymore. So wasn't that a beautiful thing to do for the old lady? She probably wasn't that old, but she looked, you know, how they used to look older in the olden days. And yeah, she was a lovely woman, you could see, and he really cared for her. You could see they had a mutual love. In March 2000 he was diagnosed with severe liver damage. Only 20% of his liver was now working. At the end of July 2002 he was put down for the liver transplant, which happened in August 2002. But it was very controversial because it was paid for by the NHS, and a lot of people thought that he caused that and they shouldn't be paying for it through the taxes, which you can kind of understand in a way. And of course it becomes even worse when you realise that after that he did carry on drinking, and ultimately that led to his death, didn't it? I remember watching him on a programme once, and he talked about alcohol, and he did what a lot of alcoholics do. He smacked his lips, and it's like they can, I mean, I like a drink, but he really smacked his lips like you can taste the alcohol, and you can see that they're really hooked on it. The News of the World published a picture of him, and at his own request, and it showed him he was very, very pale and dying and anemic, and it had the caption, "Don't die like me," and he wanted that to go out because he wanted to try and discourage other people from doing the same thing. So at the very end he was quite honourable in trying to, you know, stop it happening to other young people. Belfast Airport on May the 22nd 2007 was renamed George Best City Airport in honour of George, which, you know, it's quite a nice thing. John Lennon got it, didn't they? So why not George Best? I was watching the beautiful Alex, who he married and lived with for 10 years. They were together a long time. She was a massive age difference between them, but they really did care for each other, but she just couldn't carry on because of his drinking. I think it wore her down and she just couldn't cope with it. And she left, but they kept in touch and they were close. And if he needed her, she was still there for him. So that's a nice thing when you end a relationship like that, really. I'll tell you a little story and it'll show you how little I know about football. I got to do the website for Sir Roger Moore. He was a UNICEF ambassador. And I got there because I liked the Persuaders, and Tony Curtis and Roger were in the same programme, and I wangled it. So the first time I was going to meet Roger, it was at the Manchester United football ground, and I recognised Alex Ferguson, and I've been stood on the corner where I recognised Beckham as well, because he was taking the corners, but I didn't recognise anybody else there because I don't know much about football. So when it was half time, I was sort of stood there with a load of people around me, and I said in quite a loud voice something like, "Is Manchester United a good football team then?" Oh, of course there was an uproar. You know, I had no idea how good that team was, and it shows you how little I understand about football. That's totally true, is that. George Best was the first child of Northern Irish parents Richard Dickey Best and Anna Withers. In 1957, the academically gifted George passed the 11 plus and went to Grosvenor High School, but he soon played truant as the school specialised in rugby union. George then moved to the Linners-Sharragan Secondary School, reuniting him with his friends from primary school and allowing him to focus on football. He played for Cragan Boys Club. He grew up supporting Glentoran and Wolverhampton. George began his club career in England with Manchester United after making his debut at the age of 17. He scored 179 goals in 417 appearances over 11 years and was the club's top goal scorer in the league for 5 consecutive seasons. He won 2 league titles, 2 Charity Shields and the European Cup with the club. The international footballer George was capped 37 times for Northern Ireland between 1964 and 1977. He is regarded as one of the greatest players never to have played at the World Cup. The Irish Football Association described him as the greatest player to ever pull on the green shirt for Northern Ireland. However, he later became known for his long hair, good looks and extravagant celebrity lifestyle, and an appearance on Top of the Pops in 1965. He opened a nightclub called Slack Alice in Bootle Street in Manchester in 1973, and he owned restaurants in the city, including Oscar's on the site of the old Waldorf Hotel. He also owned fashion boutiques in partnership with Manchester City player Mike Summerby. George once joked, "In 1969 I gave up women and alcohol. It was the worst 20 minutes of my life." George married Angela MacDonald Janis on the 24th of January 1978 at the Candlelight Wedding Chapel in Las Vegas, having met her in the United States when George was playing for the Los Angeles Aztecs in 1976. Their son Callum was born in 1981. They separated in 1982 and divorced in 1986. He once joked, "If I had to choose between dribbling past 5 players and scoring from 40 yards at Anfield or Miss World, it would be a hard choice. Thankfully, I've done both." George married Alex Percy in 1995 in Kensington and Chelsea, London. They divorced in 2004 with no children. George's mother, Anna, died from alcoholism-related cardiovascular disease in 1978 at the age of 55. George's father died on the 16th of April 2008 at the age of 88. I've had some assistance here, folks, because some fans have just come over and put a red flag down. So it's going to be George Best, isn't it? They were having photographs taken, so I've walked past it as usual. So let's spin the camera and we'll all go in together. Here we go. Yeah, I can see it easily now. Here we come. I thought there'd be a blaze of red there. Here we are. I can see his photograph now. Yeah. Yes, George. Yeah, very nice indeed. It's lovely, isn't it? I knew there'd be still a lot of people visiting this grave because he was such a big star, wasn't he? Yeah, let's have a look. Okay. Hello, George. It's a privilege and an honour for me to be here. You were probably one of the best, if not the best, footballers in the world. Right, let's move the little picture so we can read it. We'll put it back in a second. Right, so we'll start at the top. It says, Best, in loving memory of Annie M, that's his mother, beloved wife and mother, died the 12th of October 1978. Also, dear son, brother and father, George. Died on the 25th of November 2005. Also, devoted husband and father, Richard Dickey. Died 16th of April 2008. Let's get the little bottom bit in as well. I'll just put those to one side for a second. I'll pop them back. Loved and remembered always. There we are, folks. Put the pot back in properly. There we are. I knew there'd be quite a few things going on here. Yeah, that's to his mum again, isn't it, Annie? Yeah, very nice. Thank you, George. He was a nice guy, a caring guy and a shy guy. I watched programmes about him and a phenomenal footballer, but the alcoholism got him. And it does remind us that health is wealth. It doesn't matter how rich and famous you are, without your health none of us have got nothing. It's the most important thing we have. So if you enjoyed the film today, don't forget to subscribe, it's free. Give me a thumbs up and a comment, because you know I love the comments. I always say it, but it's totally true. So take care of yourself wherever you are. Bye from me, Alan, at Motorhome Beep Beep. Why don't you try out my new channel? It's the same name almost, Motorhome Beep Beep, but it's got travel on the end. I'm going to check out some hotels, try and show the good bits, the bad bits, be fair, but most of all try and get the best bang for your buck. Let's have some fun. Come over and join me.